Okay. All right, so let's get this thing put into standard form. All right, so here we go. We're gonna have to complete the square. Now you'll notice something about this one. We're gonna group the x's together and put our blank, just like we did before. But what do you notice about the y's? What do we not have that we had before? We don't have a plain y. Now that is actually good news, kids, because that means there's no need to complete the square. It's just going to be y squared. There's not going to be a parentheses for the y. You don't need to worry about it. The only one you need to figure out is your x number. All right, so here we go. What completes the square? 16. How did we get 16? Make sure you add it to both sides. How did we get 16? Half of 8 squared. Now, what's your square here? That's why you did this, so you could get this parentheses. What is it? X plus 4. That's right. Plus y squared, just plain old y squared, equals 22. What is our center? Use your head here. What do you think your center is? -4, comma? No. If it were y plus 1, that would give you -1. It's 0. Absolutely, it's 0. Why is it 0? Because there's no number there. There's no number added or subtracted. So your center is at -4, 0. What's your radius? Root 22. Perfect. All right, one more. One more circle example. All right, so here we go. You know what to do, right? We're going to regroup things, rearrange things, and put in a blank. So we're going to have x squared plus 4x plus blank. Right? Plus y squared minus 4y plus blank. And what's it going to equal? 10 plus blank plus blank. On the other side of the equation. All right, here we go. What completes the square? What's going to go in the blanks? What goes in this blank? 4. Why does 4 go in that blank? You're right. Why does 4 go in that blank? Half of 4 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. Both blanks. Don't forget, if you put it on this side, you got to put it on that side. All right, now what about this one? What's going to go in this blank? 4 again. Because half of 4 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. What quantity squared do I have right here? X plus 2. What quantity squared do I have right here? Y minus 2. And it adds up to 18. Right? So where's my center? -2, 2. Where's my, or what is my radius? Square root of 18, which is 3 square root 2. All right, that takes care of circles. That's all there is to it. Circles are easy. Your objective is to find the center and the radius. And once you get your equation in this form, that's easy. The center and the radius are right there. Now, the next section This is this is still on page 54, but it's number 2. The next section deals with equations that look a little bit different. Now, what's different about this equation? Look at the last one we did. Look at this one. What's different about it? Well, it has to do with the variables. The fundamental difference is these equations of circles have x squareds and y squareds in them. What does this equation have? Luke, not gonna ask you again. What?
Just x squared.
There's only one squared. So when there's only one squared in the problem, then we don't have a circle, we have a parabola. Where is that? Now, 1 squared means parabola. The information that you are being asked to find is the vertex, the focus, the directrix, and the focal width. So we got to figure that out for this parabola. Now that's pretty easy to do. Joey, you want to close that? That's pretty easy to do, especially if we have a little graph. So I set up a little graph there for you. I'm not grading your graph. I'm going to use it to help me figure out this information. All right? Now, does anybody want to take a guess where the vertex of that parabola is? Now think about what happened in that one circle example.
-8.
When we didn't have, good guess, when we didn't have anything added or subtracted, it was just a plain y squared. What did that mean? Think about your circles. If we had just a plain x squared and a plain y squared, where would the center of that circle be? 0, 0. Where was this one? -2, 2. Now why was it -2, 2? Because we had these things in there, right? If you don't have those things, then you're just at 0. Do I have anything added or subtracted on here? No. Your vertex is at the origin. Your vertex is the origin. Now we're going to do some examples where it's not. But if it's not at the origin, there has to be some addition and subtraction, just like here. If there's no addition and subtraction, it's at the origin. All right? Now, anybody want to take a wild guess which way this opens? Parabolas can open up and down or left and right. They can open any direction. Why do you think up? You are exactly right. Why do you think up? There's no negative in it. Now, be careful. Be careful. No negative means up or right. Negative means left or down. This one is up because the x is squared. Remember, we said it was a parabola because it only had one letter that was squared? Well, it could be the y that's squared. And if it's the y that's squared, then the parabola is going to open sideways. This one has an x squared, so it opens up. The focus is a point that's in here somewhere. And the directrix is a line that's down here somewhere. Now here's the good news. Whatever this distance is, however far up I'm going for my focus, I'm going down the same distance for my directrix. Now, I need to figure out what that distance is. We call this distance P. I'm actually not sure why, but we call it P. That's the same as this distance. They're equal. They're the same. In every equation of a parabola that's in this form, that number right there is going to be 4p. Every time. It's always going to be 4p. It's always 4p. So in this case, 4p is 8, which means p is 2. So that means, here's my vertex right here at the origin. I'm going to go up 2. Where will my focus be then? What will be the coordinates at that point if I start at the origin and go up 2? 0, 2. That's my focus. 0, 2. Now, how did I know to go up 2? Because I always go up p. And every time, 4p is that number. So since that was an 8, 4p is 8, which means p is 2. Now, if I went up 2 to put that focus on there, I'm going to go down 2 for my directrix. So what's this line? What's the equation of that line going to be if I came down 2? Now, the point right here would be 0, -2. You're right. But the directrix is the whole line. Y equals -2. Now, remember, those of you that might get confused about, okay, is it x equals or y equals? We all know it's -2 because we're coming down 2. But is it x equals or y equals? Remember, whatever axis it crosses, this line crosses the y-axis at -2, so it's y equals -2. The focal width is the length of this segment right here. It goes through the focus. The focal width is good to know because it lets you know whether your parabola is real fat or skinny. This number right here is always the focal width. So in your problem, the focal width is 8. That means this segment, this green segment, is 8 long. That's kind of a fat parabola. That wasn't too bad. Lots of new information. Let's try B. See about B. What do you notice that's different about B? It's y squared instead of x squared. What does that mean? I already told you. Were you listening? What does that mean if it's y squared? What does that change? It means it opens sideways. So this parabola, because it's y squared, this opens sideways. Now, that means either left or right. Do you have a guess? Actually, right. And the reason it's right is because that number is positive. Positives are up and right. Okay? Negatives are down and left. So it opens sideways because it's y squared. It opens to the right because this number is positive. Now, do I have anything added or subtracted? Nope. That means my vertex is going to still be the origin, but this time it opens to the right. So my vertex is still 0, 0. Nothing's been added or subtracted in the equation, and it opens to the right. Now my focus is going to be in here somewhere, and my directrix is going to be back here. Very good, Tag. He's already figured it out. In order to know where your focus is, you need to know P. In every equation of every parabola in this form, that number is 4P. So if 4p is 12, then p has to be 3. So you're going to start right here, which is the origin, and you're going to go forward 3. So where will you be? If you start at the origin and take 3 steps forward, where are you going to be? What point is that? 3, 0. Listen, if that's at all confusing to you, or you think you're going to struggle with that, bring graph paper. Do it on graph paper and literally count. And then you'll know that you are at 3, 0. Now, if I marched forward 3 for my focus, then I'm going to come backwards 3 for my directrix. So where am I going to be? What is the equation of this line? X equals -3. You're backing up 3, so it's -3. You're crossing the x-axis, so it's x equals -3. What's my focal width? 12. That's a no-brainer. You don't need a picture or anything. You can tell from your equation. Remember, that number right there is always the focal width. So this parabola is really fat. Its focal width is 12. Uh-oh, look at C. It's a little bit harder equation. All right, here we go. Who's got an idea about this one? Luke, I need you to put your head up. If you're sick, you need to go to the nurse. Okay, keep your head up. Pay attention. Take some notes. All right, so here we go. Anybody know where the vertex of this guy is? Just like a circle. Think about it. Just like a circle. Where's the vertex? Be careful. That is a trick. Not meant to be on purpose, but it always messes us up. The center, or the vertex, is not -1, 2. The vertex is 2, -1. Now look at it carefully. Exactly. When you write a point, when you write an ordered pair, x has to come first. So even if the equation's kind of backwards, it doesn't matter. X still has to come first. So it's 2, -1. Does everybody see that? That's kind of a tricky thing built in. All right, so my vertex is 2, -1. All right, now take a look at it. Which way am I going to open? You have to pay attention to 2 things. Which letter is being squared? That's right, Mason. Which letter is being squared? And is that positive or negative? So which way are we opening? To the right. Just like Mason said, we're opening to the right. Y squareds open sideways. Now, I remember, this is dumb, some of you will laugh, but I remember Y to the side. They kind of rhyme. But somehow you got to remember it.
Slide to the right.
There you go.
Slide to the left.
It was Y, yeah. All right, now, your focus is in here. Now, in order to know what your focus is, you need to know P. In every equation of every parabola in this form, that number right there is 4P. So P is 1, which means you're going to start right here at your vertex, and you're going to go 1 step ahead. So where will we be if we go 1 step ahead? This is where graph paper might come in handy. Where are you going to be?
3, -2.
At 3, -1. That's exactly right. You're going straight ahead 1 unit. So if you're at 2, -1, you're going to be at 3, -1. Now, if we went forward 1 unit to get our focus, we're gonna come backward 1 unit to get our directrix. You always go the same amount. So if you start right here and back up 1, where will you be? Well, the point would be 1, -1, but we want the line, so it will be x equals 1. You're right, that point right there would be 1, -1, but we need the line when we're doing the directrix. So it's x equals 1. And what's my focal width? 4. Perfect. All right, we'll do one more together, and then I'll have you do one by yourselves, okay? So here we go. All right, where's my vertex? 3-1. Very, very good. Everybody okay with a vertex at 3-1? Remember, I'm not grading your picture. It's there to help you. You don't even have to do it if you don't want to. Which way is it open? Up? You think it opens up? I'm a little bit concerned by the negative there. What does that negative tell me? It's down. It's down. It's an x squared, so it opens up and down. But because of the negative, we know it opens down. Remember, a negative number here tells you always it's either down or left. Since it's x squared, it's down. Now somewhere down here, in there, somewhere, is my focus. It's gonna go straight down. I'm gonna go straight down to get my focus. How far down am I gonna go? 2. I'm going down 2. P is 2, because 4P is 8. So that means I'm coming down 2. So start at the point 3-1 and go down 2 units. And again, use graph paper if it will help you. Where will you be if you go down 2 units? 3, -1. 3, -1. Count down 2 units. Straight down. So your focus is 3, -1. Now, if I came down 2 for my focus, then I'm going to go up 2 for my directrix, right? Where is it going to be? If I go up 2, how high will I be? I won't be at 5. I'll be up 3. I'll be at 3, won't I? This is at 1. 3. If I go up 2, I'll be at 3. So that's y equals 3. Now the point right there would be 3, 3. But we want the equation of the line. It crosses the y-axis at 3. So it's y equals 3. And what's my focal width? 8. Be careful on that one. I know it's -8, but don't say the width is negative. The width, it can't be negative. So the width is just going to be 8. Okay? There's one more. Would you try it on your own with your partner? It's on the next page on the back there. Would you try E? I'll do it too, and we'll compare notes. But see how far you can get with it.
With a partner.
You can do it by yourself or with a partner, yeah, however you want to do it. you can fill in right at the get-go. You can fill your vertex in right away, right? What is it? Be careful, what did you say? -1, 1. Remember, it's always the X number and then the Y number, so -1, 1. You can also fill in the focal width right away. The focal width is 16. So those two things, you don't have to do a lick of work for. You're immediately going to be able to fill those in. Now you're going to have to do some work. Go. Have you figured out which way it opens? It's a sideways one. Is it right or left? Is that a positive or a negative number? Positives are right and up. So this one opens to the right. Somewhere in here is your focus. You can figure out the focus if you know how far you have to go. Well, the equation tells you how far you have to go. 4p is 16, which means p is 4. So you're going to start right here, and you're going to walk forward 4 steps. Again, you can use graph paper and just count. Where will you be if you march forward 4 steps?
3, 1.
3, 1. The focus is at 3, 1. Now, if I went forward 4, then to get my directrix, I'm going to come backward 4. What? X equals -5 is exactly right. Very, very good. X equals, because we're crossing the x-axis, -5 because we're backing up 4 steps. All right? Now, the next little group of problems has us doing has us doing the opposite. Okay, so our group work is done. Now, Luke, our group work is done. And now we're back to, we're going to write, we're going to write the equation of the parabola. Okay? So, here we go. Your job is to come up with an equation that looks like this. So you're going to come up with something where you've got something squared equal to a number times something not squared. That's what parabolas look like. Look back at all those other equations. Look back at all the other equations. They all have something squared equal to something times something not squared. Okay? Now, any idea about anything? Where to start? Anything?
The vertex.
Well, we know the vertex. Now, the problem is, before I can fill in the 3 and the 2, the -2, I need to know whether it's y that's in the squared one or whether it's x that's in the squared one. What do you think? Which one, should I put the y in the squared or the x? Y. And why do I put the y in the squared one? Because it opens to the right. Very good, Lucian. When you build your equation, remember, y squared is sideways. So if your parabola is opening sideways, then it's y that's being squared. Now, as soon as you do that, then you can plug in your vertex. Now, be careful when you put them in that you're putting the x number with the x and the y number with the y. Okay, so the 3 goes with the x and the -2 goes with the y. Everybody with me? Now the only thing missing is this. Now we gotta be careful. I don't know, it might be, I have no idea. This one's a little tricky. I have no idea what this number is. Oh man, I don't know what it is. But I know that this point is on the equation. So I'm going to put a 1 in for my y and a 5 in for my x. Because this xy, this is an xy point, that xy satisfies that equation. So let's figure it out. Let's see, what's 1 plus 2? Squared. So 9 equals n times 5 minus 3, which is 2. So n equals 9 halves. So your equation looks like that. Now there were 3 blanks that you had to fill in this equation. Does everybody understand why there's a plus 2 here and a minus 3 here? Everybody okay with that? How in the world did I get 9 halves? Where did that number come from? I took this random point that they gave me. It's not the vertex, it's not the focus, it's not anything, it's some random point. And I plugged it in. X for x, y for y. And worked it all out, and I got 9 halves. That problem's a little bit different. That's a little bit different than most of them. All right, let's get one more problem done. Here we go. We have a vertex at 2, -3. And the focus at 0, -3. Okay, now wait a minute. This is my vertex, and this is my focus. We're going to write an equation that looks like this. Okay? Now, tell me what you can tell me about that parabola. This is its focus and this is its vertex. What can you tell me about it? Which way does it open? Joey? To the left. Now, does that, I know you heard somebody say that, but does that make sense to you? Because remember, what it does is enclose its focus. So since its focus is back here, it's got to open around it like this. Now wait a minute, that's sideways, isn't it? When it opens sideways, which letter is inside the squared? Y. Anytime it opens sideways. And the vertex, so I have y plus 3, x minus 2, because my vertex is where x is 2 and y is -3. Now last time they gave me some random point that I just plugged in. That's not what they did this time. This time they gave me the focus. Any ideas how I can figure out that number?
X equals 4. Because you went to the left 2 to find the focus, you go to find the direct.
Okay, all right. I went to the left 2, so P is 2. I backed up 2 units. P is 2. What's this number always? That number's always 4P. So if P is 2, then 4P is 8. And because it's opening left, it would be -8.
Yep.
All right, next time we gather, we're going to have a little quiz over circles and parabolas. There will be one practice problem of each before the quiz, okay? Have a good day.
Daniel Daniels to the office, please. Daniel Daniels to the office.
Have a great day.
Oh yeah, you told me on
You're supposed to be paying attention to math.